You're listening to The Rundown Live. Your protection from deception. And your forecast into the future. The Rundown Live. Mayday, Illuminati Day fundraiser. Early drop happens today. Just scan the QR code on the screen to support this broadcast.
Is that who I think it is?
Yep, sure is. Did you hear he ditched the man cave and brought back the study?
That's so sexy. I love it when a man is educated and informed.
He is so dreamy, always reading books and investigating history.
Where do you think he works out?
The library.
He is so controversial, always talking about 9/11 being an inside job, the police state, constitutional rights, ancient history, government cover-ups, and how he thinks sports don't matter in real life.
Oh, I love a freethinker who searches for truth. I love it when he feeds my brain. What's his name? Kristan T. Harris.
because of this administration, we are tonight a world divided. We are a nation becalmed. We have lost the brisk pace of diversity and the genius of individual creativity. We are plodding along at a pace set by centralized planning, red tape, rules without responsibility, and regimentation without recourse.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous?
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan.
Promised of being one of the most effective treatments for AIDS and cancer in history. Now it's gone, and one of the most respected research facilities in the country is being blamed.
Participation in a process that validates an establishment that never meaningfully changes. What if that establishment doesn't want and doesn't have the consent of the governed? What if the two-party system was actually a mechanism used to limit so-called public opinion? What if there were more than two sides to every issue, but the two parties wanted to box you into a corner, one of their corners?
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of the Rundown Live, Kriston T. Harris.
You are listening to the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. I am your host. The host was the most, Kriston T. Harris, bringing you information you will not hear anywhere else. Don't change the dial. Stick around. Listen, drop some comments in the chat, and let us know that you are here. I saw that we got a bunch of people here already joining us. What's going on, Kenny? Want to shout out to Patrick in the chat. We got Jason Wangle. We got Chris France. We got James. We got a whole bunch of people joining us in the chat. It's always nice because I always see different people in the chat and they stick around. Like, I get messages from you guys. I appreciate it. And for those that are joining us on Ground Zero after Clyde Lewis, because this gets rebroadcast after Clyde Lewis, I think it's really interesting to see the growth that we've seen here because of Clyde. So I want to thank Clyde Lewis and Ron Patton and Chris and everyone over at Ground Zero, as well as our new affiliates we'll be bringing on. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later and on different broadcasts. But, Ground Zero Plus is where it is at. You can get this broadcast streaming live. Just download the very free on-air disclosure app available in the Google Play Store and iTunes App Store. You'll get me. You'll get all the other great hosts over at Ground Zero Plus, including Clyde Lewis himself. So that's very cool. Today's broadcast, we're going to be diving into a lot of very interesting subjects that you probably may have forgotten about, subjects that a lot of people aren't talking about, and that they've kind of given a wayside because there's a lot that's been going on in our news cycle this year. It's been crazy, right? The Epstein files are still relevant, but people kind of stopped talking about them because of UFO disclosure, missing scientists, and Iran. So I think those stories are beneficial to talk about. It's just that nobody's talking about the Epstein files anymore, and that's really not what we're going to get into. But yesterday's broadcast, as you guys can follow, we did a lot on how it's getting popular to discuss and give some kind of personal testimony about people's MK Ultra or satanic ritual abuse or mind control experience. And there seems to be lots of them out there. I saw one victim say that there's so many of them, so many of us out there, it would blow people's minds. So one thing we're going to do here at the Rundown Live, and starting tomorrow, and you guys can also get on this quickly, is that we are going to do a fundraiser. That fundraiser is going to help us upgrade our equipment so we can make a documentary on MKUltra survivors and satanic ritual abuse survivors. The link is now live. Go give, send, go. Our goal is to raise $1,776. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that will at least get us the bare minimums of equipment needed in order to interview people. That's not including, flights and everything else, but you can donate. Tomorrow is going to be an 8-hour broadcast. We're going to be going live from noon until 8 p.m. Ground Zero Plus will be carrying it for 7 hours. So make sure you tune in. We're going to have guests from all over the spectrum. Leo Lyons-Zagami, former Illuminati member, will be joining us. Joe Wages from the Masonic Lodges is going to come, and we might do a little sparring about what is real and what is not, because he might have a different set of information versus what I have. And we're going to talk about what he believes are not real conspiracies. And I'm going to probably push back on some of those a little bit. It'll be a very interesting broadcast. We're going to have a lot of people. We're going to be playing some of the great video clips over the years, amongst other things. So make sure you don't want to miss tomorrow's broadcast. If you want to support me, the QR code is right here on the screen. Just go ahead and scan this with your phone, and it will take you right there. Otherwise, check in the description of any of these documents of our videos, which is Rumble, which is YouTube and Facebook and Ground Zero Plus, and you should be able to find the link to support this broadcast, and it's important for you guys to do that. So moving forward with our topics today, I think it's really important we discuss the new digital prison we are building for ourselves. I remember the first time I heard about pre-crime, it was kind of frightening. Mike, my co-host at the time, was like, "This is Minority Report." And I'm like, well, And the world has progressed where we started talking about things 15 years ago, if you tuned into the broadcast, that are now coming into fruition. That's why we call us your forecast in the future. That's why so many people who own or have their own shows listen to this broadcast. They get ideas. It's interesting how we kind of have a little bit of a influence on other people who have shows. We might not have a world's largest audience, but the ones that do listen, many of them have their own podcasts. You'll see a lot of these sentiments echoed, because it's what I find important in my old age, in my wisdom. The people under the dome, the wise are under the dome. That's why, I guess that's why the Capitol Hill has a dome and churches have a dome. And if you go to the Vatican, there's a dome. They believe that wise people are under the dome. Maybe you want to beg to differ, but I use my wisdom and I try to bring things that I think are relevant and are important. And my first question to you guys, and we're going to play a video on this, what are your thoughts about social credit scores? The idea is the old system is kind of trash, and what we could do is build a new one based on social merit. So, you've heard of China's social credit score, right? People getting banned from flights, some of those concerns, amongst other things. But I'm concerned more about the digital and virtual prison we are building for ourselves. And I saw a video clip that almost nobody has seen. It's one of those TikTok reels, Twitter reels, and somebody aggregated it. They have a couple thousand followers. Very interesting video. And it got me thinking, and I want to know, for you guys in the comments, drop some comments in your chat. What do you think about social credit scores? Well, here we have an interesting individual who's shopping at their local grocery store, and they recognize that a lot of these grocery stores are using digital tags. This is something when I worked in management and retail, I always wanted. If you worked in management, the worst thing at the end of the night was putting out sales tags. Well, what happens if you didn't have to waste all that time and they digitally just changed? Well, that's a great idea. But wait, what if those digital tags had cameras built in, and they referred to the internet, they found out your social class, they found out like how much money or what you spend and what you buy on, and then the price that was on the product reflects what your social credit score is. So maybe you're wealthy, and instead of for an item you pay $22 for the meat, and then they know you're on the government system, you spend $12. That's exactly what this concerned citizen posted on social media.
Freaking me out. I'm in my grocery store and my girlfriend just told me about this conspiracy theory, and it's happening in my grocery store right now. I'm gonna show you like regular price tags. Okay, look. paper, regular price tags. This is how much everything is. And then you come over here and look at these ones. That's a camera right there. So they're replacing all of the paper ones with those digital ones that they can change automatically, but they have a camera. And so my girlfriend was telling me that they use the camera to use facial recognition, and they're gonna link you to like your Amazon account, they're gonna link you to everything online, like everything that you have, and they're gonna change the price of your groceries according to who you are, that they recognize by your face, by your Amazon, by your Facebook, by everything. So if they see your spending habits and that you're spending more, your groceries are going to be more expensive. And I'm freaked out that this is happening in my grocery store right now. And it's slow. Like there's some sections that it still has the paper tag, but I'm here kind of late at night and I saw a lady switching it over. So what's going on in your grocery stores? Is this a conspiracy theory that is true? And if not, why do they have cameras?
You know, very interesting, because my local grocery store, I was filling in on the war room for Harrison Smith a couple weeks ago, and I was like, my grocery store, Woodman, stopped taking cash after 10 p.m., which it's interesting to me after I said that while hosting the war room, all of a sudden they're taking cash again late at night. But Woodman's, they have all these, robot cashiers that take cash, and they weren't taking cash. They refused to take cash from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Well, why? Who's going to rob the machine? Maybe there is a way. I don't know it, but it didn't make sense to me. It doesn't. But now that I'm starting to think about these price tags, like in the video that we just saw, right? The idea that these price tags and videos will be taken of the people shopping, and they're going to go back to the metadata system. They're going to discuss everything in the virtual context, AI will, of what you purchased, and then come back for a price for you. It's crazy. Social credit scores are something the communist left, which we're going to get into a lot yet tomorrow, because May Day, May 1st, is the day that the Bavarian Illuminati came into existence. That's where the foundations of modern day communism stem from, was the Adam Weishaupt utopian wet dream, the establishment of a new world order, abolition of all religions except for a government sanctioned one, right? That's communism. End of all inheritance, abolition of the family. Like you don't actually belong to someone. You don't have a husband and wife or a contract with them. You know, that's archaic. Your wife belongs to whoever she wants to sleep with, right? That's the idea, right? Social credit score is just the gateway drug, changing every interaction into a transaction. Not only that, the data it's going to use is going to help them identify what kind of prices to charge you. Now, how could this work to your benefit? I mean, maybe you're going to go into the grocery store. It knows that you normally buy something, but you haven't for a long time. Maybe it's a pack of cigarettes, and all they know is that they got, free pack. Oh, good. Now you can get that pack of cigarettes, and all of a sudden you're back at the bad habit again. Maybe it's alcohol. Whatever it might be, they could find ways to kind of use the facial recognition, use the social credit score, and really charge you or steer you in a certain direction. I think that when we start to think about this, and you start digging deep into this idea, it's about a system of control. When they're talking about self-driving cars, they're talking about advertising, corporations taking special routes for the self-driving car. They'll drive you by a Walmart, and all of a sudden, sale prices, you'll walk in, the digital price change will change for you, and they'll flip on. And if you're a good citizen, you'll qualify for the better prices on things, as long as you follow whatever the government's debauchery is. Maybe you just post some Jeffrey Epstein file files, and shit. We're going to just drop that social credit score. Now your kid can't go to that luxurious high school or elementary school or high school or college or whatever it might be because your social credit score is too bad. And then we're going to get you into a re-education center where you can get thought crimed and corrected. So they're going to go in there and be like, you don't think properly, right? You don't think like an elitist does. You don't think it's okay that you take advantage and traffic young women who are bred and born from the beginnings of life to be used and abused, and you don't believe that's okay. That there's something wrong with you. Yeah, you think the Epstein files are wrong. There's something wrong with you. You think there should be accountability for the people who had children trafficked to. There's something wrong with you. Your social credit score keeps dipping and dipping because you think 9/11 was an inside job. There must be something wrong with you. Maybe we need to put you on some more pills, or you're not on the pills. There's something wrong with you. That's where the world we live in is going, where they want to compartmentalize every individual in some kind of psychological analysis. They can market to them. They can siphon all the wealth they can. They can appeal to their addictions. They can appeal to their fantasies, and then they can surgically go in and adjust prices based on how good of a government citizen you are to the planet Earth of whatever UFO utopia they're trying to build in this weird, bizarre Project Bluebeam type revelation world where now we're getting UFO disclosure. And we just heard yesterday about, what was it, that the MK Ultra people were taken down into secret bases underground that looked like or replicas of UFO spacecraft so that they could feel or think that they were being abducted, and then they were taken out so that if anyone asked them what happened to them, that they would be unbelievable. That is the world we're living in, where they're surgically going after you. They don't think your life has value, and unless you do, nobody is going to think your life has value. Your social credit score will say who you are, and what you do. And it all started with all these cute little cutesy dating sites like, Plenty of Whales or OK Cupid. Yeah, Cupid, where they're like, oh, what are you into? Are you into this kink, that kink? Do you work? Are you Second Amendment's right guy? Not a Second Amendment's right guy? And then they try to match you up with the perfect person. But at the end game, they're just collecting metadata on you. Metadata. And now when you walk down a damn grocery store, the prices are going to change based on what your social credit score are going to be. You don't believe it's going to happen? I can tell you right now. Where is it? I just read it. If you want to pay attention on what the globalist agenda is, you have to understand where they think. And they think in the realms of communism. Because it consolidates all wealth and power for the elite while selling a bullshit dream to the public that they own the government and they get a piece of the pie. But really, that pie is really small and allows for ultimate control. That's what fully automated luxury communism is about. Fully automated luxury communism. In March of 2025, national guidelines were changed for the Communist Party, and State Council issued a 23-point directive standardizing the social credit score. Social credit score is communism. And how do you conquer a government? Through its finances. Thank you, Federal Reserve, who's going to be introducing, a little good old thing called the central banking digital currency, because cryptocurrency is all bad except for theirs. And when you go to the grocery store and it shows you that price, and maybe you want to buy something that is not approved by your local government, it won't allow you to use the central banking cryptocurrency. Social credit score. It'll block what you can buy and what you can't buy. Maybe you owe back taxes. You can only buy food, gas, rent, and you pay your bills till they get their money. Isn't taxation theft anyways at the end of the day? There was never meant to be a sustaining tax on humanity. Property tax is a scam. Some 80-year-old lady whose husband died can't pay her property taxes. Government comes and takes it, even though they probably built that freaking house, paid for the property. And since they don't pay the taxes, the government's like, oh, I'll take it. Property tax should be gone. I'm just saying you should be able to own something in your life. And that's what it comes down to. You won't own any personal property. That's everybody's property. That isn't your meme you created. That's the community's meme. I didn't steal your meme, right? That's the joke. In a 2024-2025 action plan led by the National Development and Reform Commission, this prioritizes completing the system with better interagency data sharing. Blacklists for debt and contract violations and trustworthiness incentives. As of 2025, 200,000 more individuals were blacklisted, many for contractual disputes, restricting high-speed rail flights and certain financial services, but it's not a universal behavior score, according to China Law Translate. So in China, where they have social credit scores, they blacklisted over 200,000 people. They can't use the frickin' train. They're going to have smart shitters and you won't be able to take a deuce. That's where they're going, I'm telling you. Remember ID 2020, Bill Gates' idea to get everyone an ID in third world countries so they can get a social credit score eventually. You know Bill Gates, the guy who denies making billions of dollars on COVID. Here he is. He's talking about, it's like, I didn't make no money off of COVID. Oh, yeah, you went up net worth billions of dollars, but you didn't make any money during COVID. Is this laugh-worthy or what?
How did you feel? This came out particularly during COVID and the work you were doing on vaccines for that. How do you feel when you become part of this whole kind of conspiracy theory stuff going on? Does that bother you? Does it get to you at all?
Somebody coming up to me on the street, which has happened sometimes, and saying that I've chipped them and I'm following them around. As long as I'm safe, you almost have to laugh that, lady, why would I want to know where you are? I mean, really? Is that how I spend my time, is tracking you?
But how do you think this stuff happens? Because it became like a kind of running theme during the pandemic.
On a global basis, I either started it or was profiting from it, and doing all sorts of strange things. That was completely unexpected, completely making up, like saying that I profit from vaccines, or that vaccines, instead of saving millions of lives, actually are bad for children. That's a total reversal. And the fact that people needed a simple explanation during the pandemic.
But in a way, you became victim there to something that's happening to a lot of people in politics now, which is the whole fake news thing and the power of a conspiracy theory to take hold. Do you have within the organization people who are actually thinking about how you deal with stuff like that? Or do you just accept it as part of the baggage of being a very wealthy, very powerful, well-known person?
Well, it's gone down somewhat with the end of the pandemic, but like there were a few malaria cases that showed up in the U.S. and people were saying, okay, that's me doing that. Or, I own 1/4,000th of the farmland in the U.S. and people have some view that somehow connects that. Yeah, 1/4,000th of the farmland. But what can you do with 1/4,000th share? At least in my math, I have a hard time pulling off a conspiracy unless you get up to at least 2 or 3 4,000ths.
The guy who invested in Monsanto glyphosate to spray all the crops with nanoparticle bullshit that causes stomach cancer. And they're like, cancer's up. I don't know why. Maybe it's all those independent studies that were out there saying that if you ate anything with Monsanto glyphosate, that you would get stomach cancer and tumors. And we're going to rename it. It's not called GMOs. It's bioengineered food now. Look at how dumb people are. I'm going to look at the chips that says bioengineered. That's different from GMOs. Nah, not really. Not really. And Bill Gates didn't make billions of dollars. Never mind that he's in the Epstein files. You hung out with Jeffrey Epstein a whole bunch. Child trafficking. Never mind that there's conspiracies that they colluded together. To cover up this whole Jeffrey Epstein trash. Maybe they did work together to put a little bit of Jeffrey Epstein in the DNA. This is coming from the guy who had books on his shelves that said how to lie with statistics. And I don't mean to have sex with or sleep with. I mean, take something and twist the verbiage and use mind control on you so that you can believe the bullshit that Mr. Dr. Blue Screen, right? Dr. Blue Screen of Death, the guy that crashes computers, can't get his fucking operating system to work, but he's running the World Health Organization. That guy, that's what you can listen to. He's making billions. He's like, oh, you dumb, dumb, dumb people. Whoever buys into that and thinks this guy, oh, he means well with the vaccines. Oh, yeah, like I want to know where you're at all moments. Of course you do. You know how much money there is in tracking everyone. You know how much government contracts, you name it. Why wouldn't you want to know where everyone is with nanotech? I'm not saying there is nanotech going on. I'm just saying it's worth taking a look there when Bill Gates is like, oh, I didn't make any money. Oh, just billions of dollars from COVID. Ryan posts in the chat, what does Ryan have to say? You've exceeded your carbon output. Oh, there's another bullshit. Carbon radio, like carbon credits. You want to hear a story about Maurice Strong in the 1980s? Oil Mongols sat in with a meeting with the Rothschilds, and people have blown the whistle about this. They literally removed any evidence that the earth was cooling and said, well, this is how we can control the public. We can control everything they do, how much they breathe, what they eat, where they ducky, you name it. How many kids they can have, all because of carbon emissions. Genius plot to control the world and lead towards a one world government and help develop the social credit score. This Adam Weishaupt utopian agenda, which all comes from the Illuminati Bavarian lodges. You want to know who's rumored to be in the Illuminati? Oh, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. It's funny. Yeah, they're all probably part of this secretive organization they call the Synagogue of Satan. But if you use those terms, they give you a tinfoil hat and they're like, don't worry, buddy, it's okay. Here's your way into the insane asylum. Oh, by the way, your social credit score sucks. You know why? Because you read too much into conspiracies. You're doing too much with the conspiracy thing. Never mind that we're modifying the weather, which is in the news as well. You would think after all these years, someone would have caught up with one of the pilots that is dropping these chemtrails. By the way, I had one of these pilots in my vehicle, I think a year ago. I'm going to tell you guys a personal story. And I'm not going to tell you what they were doing in my vehicle, but they were in my vehicle, and I was taking them to the airport. And I was like, have you ever heard? And I was like, what is your company that you work for? Oh, he goes, we do weather modification, cloud seeding. I said, chemtrails? He goes, yeah, chemtrails. I'm like, Welsbach, stratospheric aerosol injections? He goes, how the hell do you know that? And I said, well, I'm a reporter, investigative journalist. I heard about this and I thought, well, what if you could affect future trends markets on the stock market by impacting the weather? And he goes, oh, yeah, well, you should write for my father's company. He has the government contract that uses Welsbach stratospheric aerosol injections to modify the weather. And then he went into detail, the names of the company and everything. Real company, really exists, does weather modification for the government. Your taxpayer dollars, just like everything else paid to poison you with aluminum oxide, right? Don't worry, it's only half a nanoparticle. The EPA doesn't need a check for it. Not a big deal. It's not accumulative. Never mind that aluminum causes, Alzheimer's. Never mind it prevents bees from finding its way back to the hive. Never mind it prevents flowers and plants from re-upping on nutrients because aluminum is a toxic item into the environment. Never mind any of that stuff. Never mind that we changed the EPA rules in the early 90s to not test anything under 1 nanometer particle. At the same time, Welsbach stratospheric aerosol injections started to be sprayed by our government on record and reported to the UN, a 10-year study of what happened when we sprayed in the United States. Because we can't spray our enemies because it's a violation of this law and this globalist pact and that globalist pact and this UN agreement. But we can spray our own people and we can pay for it. Never mind, Christoph T. Harris, you don't know what you're talking about. But here I am every day in and day out telling you guys all about this information, telling you about how it happens, breaking it down, telling you that there's patents. Dane Wingington is not a nut. He is literally bringing scientific evidence to the conversation. Now, I'm not saying that everything he says is right, but he's very interesting. So, I want you guys to think about the world we live in. I want you to think about these social credit scores. And I got to ask you, what the heck is going on in the world today? It seems like everything I turn on the news, everything I see on the news is gossiped. But there is this one gossip piece that has me a little bit interested. And why I would give any time to it on my broadcast is because I think it kind of stands out to me because it ties into everything we've been talking about. That is this tweet right here. Do you guys know who Stanley Kubrick is? If you've been paying attention to this show, you would know who Stanley Kubrick is. We had writer Lee on the program. Stanley Kubrick is known for The Shining. He's known for 2001 Space Odyssey, if I remember right. Clockwork Orange. And he was rumored to have filmed the fake space landing, moon landing by the Apollo 11. That's why it's all in the Shining video. He tries to expose it, the number 11, the two twins, all that stuff. And he did Eyes Wide Shut, and it was rumored that it led to his death. Well, Stanley Kubrick's daughter has come out and decided to attack Erica Kirk, who may be just an MK Ultra wench herself that was used to eventually be a pawn in a game which led to Charlie Kirk's demise. I'm not saying I agree with Candace Owens. I have not interviewed the feud. I do not know a whole lot about it, but I will tell you there's a couple things that came to mind immediately after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The first thought is that the Donald Trump administration ordered the hit, or in collusion of some form, the Trump deep state was involved in the hit. And I don't know why I felt that way. I wasn't sure that was my initial intuitive thought. But I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to hang that little apple out there. Because it always seems like there's a 3-letter agency involved in very high notable assassinations. And I'm not going to say that assassination attempts on Donald Trump were staged, but what if they were? What if Erica Kirk, which, by the way, immediately after I saw how she acted, I asked, what are the odds that she's like a Red Sparrow type project? You know, the girl they train with the adult film star tactics. She goes in, honeymoons the dude, like everything we heard in the MK Ultra satanic ritual conversations yesterday. If you missed yesterday's broadcast, go find it on Rumble, on YouTube, the Rundown Live. And then they work their way in there. They get in a prominent position. And then when the man is off, they have their MK Ultra slave in charge of Turning Point. Anyways, Kubrick, who was exposing the elitists through art, much like Trevor Moore, which we talked about yesterday from The Whitest Kids You Know, did in his art. He died, and his daughter has this to say. Growing up in the entertainment industry, I've been around a lot of phonies, so I can't be in any way sorry for stating this clearly. I'm too concerned and genuinely worried that Miss Erica Kirk is a threat to my country. She feels absolutely like a military or intelligence operative, and definitely some kind of sociopath. There's something seriously wrong with this woman. Every cell in my body shudders listening to her voice and watching her face. No one has made my skin crawl like Erica. That's like the same feeling I got, and I'm not saying that Erica Kirk by any means is a bad person. She might have just been programmed this way. It started when she said that Charlie's Bizarre Memorial, that young man, I forgive him, And then the video of her laying across Charlie's dead body that she released to the public. Who does that? That video went straight past weird and way beyond wildly inappropriate into horribly sinister. Mr. President, if we're to win the midterms, you need to kill Turning Point USA and let some honest to God, authentic, super smart young patriots rally the American youth to fight for America first. Okay. And she tags Candace Owens, Alex Jones, which I've been on his podcast, Jimmy Dore, which is interesting, Tim Dillon, and of course, all the Trumps, Megyn Kelly, White House, and everybody else is tagged in this video. What are your thoughts on this whole Erica Kirk thing? I mean, this whole thing seems a little wacky to me. It does. Ryan says, Erica's crocodile tears on Charlie's wax hands. Waxed as in taken out by a government agency. I wouldn't doubt it. Like, how many assassination attempts in the past of prominent religious figures weren't directly tied to our agency groups? Was that Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, you name it. Maybe even Ronald Reagan. It's funny, they all seem to be MK Ultra psyops. They do. And I can't help but just ask, what if? What if? And at the same time, I have to ask about the fact, and by the way, the cognitive bias of the mainstream media, who is now asking whether or not the president has staged these assassination attempts. It's funny, when somebody out there of prominence by the name of Alex Jones asked if the government could have staged Sandy Hook, well, they sued him for $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion. You don't think Erica Kirk's getting harassed by conspiracy theorists? Surprised she hasn't gone after Candace Owens for $1 billion. Because you can't win that kind of money unless you have some kind of government agency back in the idea that you need to take this guy off of air. That's what happened with Alex Jones. And I'm not saying that Alex is perfect. I'm saying that he was the canary in the coal mine. And as you can see, the canary is starting to flutter. The heart is starting to flutter. InfoWars is going to be reincarnated and like a phoenix risen from the ashes into something different. Shout out to Harrison Smith, Owen Schroyer, Joe Biggs, Jakari Jackson, David Knight, all the people I've met over there over the years. Rob Dew, who's like, dude, Rob Dew is the man. He's got a heart of gold, and believe it or not, he's been in this fight since the beginning. Alex Jones, who I've never met, obviously he knows who I am, but like I fill in on the program on occasion. Jason Burmis, all the great people that have worked alongside Dan Dix, all these great people. But Alex Jones lost his career because he asked whether or not Sandy Hook was a government psyop and that they faked the thing. And here you have everyone asking if the president faked the thing, and you have somebody taking pot shots over the Epstein files, allegedly in Mar-a-Lago, right? And that's the new excuse, right? Everything's the Epstein files. We got to stop reading the Epstein files. People are upset over the Epstein files because there's no accountability. It's making people extremists. Nah, your inability to hold people accountable for their shitty actions of trafficking small children is what's causing these reactions by the community and the people. People want accountability. And when it comes to children, we don't mess around in this country. Then you got Palm Beach Pete, who's just a program running. I'm Palm Beach Pete. Oh, I look like Epstein. Palm Beach Pete, I got a kid. Didn't Epstein have an illegitimate kid that he hangs out with? And then you're like, oh, yeah, I hung out in New York. I'm from New York. I'm tough. I can handle it, but I'm Palm Beach Pete. MK Ultra, run Palm Beach Pete, Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, okay, all of a sudden Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach Pete. I'm not saying that's the case, but now they're asking, are you worried for your life? Because he should be. Because if you're going to run a program, an MK Ultra program, it's exactly what you're seeing right there with Palm Beach Pete. And I'm not saying that's Jeffrey Epstein at all. I'm just saying either this guy is cashing in on it. Why is it that everyone's like, oh, it's Palm Beach Pete? They're so happy to see him. It's because our culture lives in an influence, like influencing. Being an influencer is a form of currency. Tiffany in the chat says it's all fake, 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 fake. It's all kabuki theater. Like, do you guys ever wonder what the true story is? What's it like once we're past and gone, the future Kristan T. Harris Jr. or whoever else we educate over the years is going to ask these questions, and they're going to say, how is it that they could ever have believed what Eric Kirk was saying? How is it that they could have ever believed the assassination attempts by our government? What really happened at Sandy Hook that it was so dangerous that you ask questions about, that you have to find somebody $1 billion for asking questions about it? Alex Jones wasn't responsible for the people who harassed the families of the victims of Sandy Hook that made them have to move. What about the people that are going to have to move about the people who are taking pot shots at the president? And they're saying, is this fake? Why aren't they getting sued for $1 billion? Because it's not a government site. The government isn't going after them. And I'm telling you, the letter agencies disliked and despised Alex Jones because he exposed government agendas. And I'm not saying he was always right. I'm not saying he wasn't always misled. But I'm telling you, right now, you guys need to pray for the family over at InfoWars, because this is the real test of, fire here. Clyde Lewis. Clyde Lewis is another great name in the industry who has been bringing awareness to this, asking questions, combining parapolitical talk radio. When he comes back, I'm kind of curious to what he has to say. Maybe he'll get Palm Beach Pete on the show. I wonder if we should get Palm Beach Pete on the show. What would I ask Palm Beach Pete if we brought him on the show? Well, okay, I'd ask him, has he ever heard of MK Ultra? What are his thoughts of like Monarch and government surveillance and social credit scores and all those things? Then I'd ask him, some math questions and maybe find out where he was at. I want to know where he was at during when Epstein was in jail. Was Palm Beach Pete around then? If he was, that pretty much solves the question if he's Jeffrey Epstein or not. It's not very hard. Where was Palm Beach Pete in the days we can guarantee and verify that Epstein was in prison? Was he around? Was he using his credit card? It can't be hard to figure out if this dude's really Epstein or not. I'm just being honest. I don't think he is, but I'm telling you, but it wouldn't surprise me if this guy was a MK Ultra program and they're like, Epstein run Palm Beach Pete. Yeah, so ask him about, those kind of things. Ryan in the chat says Palm Beach Pete got a fresh grill, kind of interesting. Epstein had dentist chairs all of his home, all over his home, maybe just serious about his oral health. Epstein, it seems like he was obsessed with health, right? And his blood and pressure and everything else. So this brings us to the situation we're dealing with tomorrow. So tomorrow on the broadcast for 8 hours, we're going to be exposing the Illuminati. We're going to bring out what May Day is, the occult rituals of dancing around the maypole, the great old phallus. All those topics. Pete is Jeff's clone. Maybe Palm Beach Pete is Jeffrey Epstein's clone. I wonder if their DNA matches. I wonder, because the Epstein files say something. Hey, it's your clone. Interesting. But tomorrow, I want you guys to know for 8 hours, we will be live. We're going to be live for 8 hours. And I'm going to put this on the screen right above me while we talk about this a little bit. But we're going to be diving in, and I'm going to give you a little presentation today about this. We're going to be diving into the Illuminati, the origins of the occult, right? The idea of communism and where it stems from. We will be playing radio. Like, this is going to be an 8-hour solid broadcast with snippets of like John Todd, Jordan Maxwell, William Cooper, Myron C. Fagan, Anthony Hilder. We're going to have a whole lot of data for you guys tomorrow in between trying to raise the money so we can fund a documentary series on MK Ultra victims, satanic ritual abuse victims, and so we can bring all the data together and try to bring accountability. We heard yesterday some of the names of the people involved, and it starts with having some kind of quality product where we can film and record in a studio-like settings or a sit-down settings with these individuals. And I promise you that this will get done. This is where my heart is. This is what my heart has been led to do. And I know not everyone out there has the time to research this, but drop links. Let us know, like, hey, you know, we saw this MK Ultra bid. So I'm on the video right now. You're going to see a QR code hit the screen. That QR code is if you take your phone, and if you're not watching on your phone or screenshot it, you can actually go to this Give Send Go and help donate. You can help donate to this broadcast. This broadcast has been around for 15 years. We've had over 600 or 700 guests. We've broken the news. We've been on the front page of every newspaper across America. We've been in GQ. We've been in the New York Times. I've been in the Rolling Stone. It's not because I say we because it's not me. It's you guys who fund this operation. I'm just a servant. I'm a servant for you guys. I'm a servant for my God, the purpose of exposing this corruption in the synagogue of Satan. And I'm not afraid of these little punks. I don't got the family to lose like a lot of people out there do. I don't have to work every day to, feed my kids. I don't have kids. But what I do with my time is I go out there and I find out the truth. I find out what's cutting edge, central banking digital currencies, social credit scores, the dangers that are coming along, like shopping for food and having your price tag spy on you in the city. When you're out there shopping for diapers or whatever you guys are doing, I'm here trying to bring awareness, and I need your help. 100% of the money that is going to go towards this broadcast. I don't keep any of this money. In fact, throughout my entire history in this broadcast, only one time I used it to pay for my personal funds, and that was to pay my rent because I was gone for a whole month at the Ghislaine Maxwell Jeffrey Epstein trial, and you guys you committed and you donated, and any extra money I had, we raised $7,000. $6,000 of that went towards getting the stenographers' victims' testimonies out. They're $1 a page. There's 1,000 pages a day, and getting the right people and the right information out. Thousands of dollars went to that. I'm telling you, like all the money we get, 100% goes to this broadcast. I don't keep any of it. I don't sit back and sip on a whiskey on TV. I'm not out there getting drunk on interviews. I'm trying to improve this broadcast so we can bring you guys a better product. And not only that, we can expose this corruption. We can learn more about satanic ritual abuse. We can learn about what's going on in the real world. And I need your guys' help because I can't do it myself, because I've dedicated myself not only to you guys as a servant, but to the God I believe in, which is a just and fair God. Money. It's one of the things I'm worst at in life. I can go and make money, no problem. But the fact that I believe that money given with a holy heart and a good heart and an honest heart goes a lot further than those spending money on myself or on anything else. So a lot of people out there listening to this broadcast, I want you to know every day I've been dedicated to bringing you information you don't hear anywhere else. Bringing on guests that not everyone can get. You know, if I was any other major show that, with the amount of guests we have on this broadcast, that are big name, this show would be huge. The reason why the algorithms don't promote us is because we're OG. I'm one of the first people doing this 15, 20 years ago before anyone was talking about any of this bullshit. Clyde Lewis, Alex Jones, Luke Radowski, Dan Dix, Jason Burmis. Look at all the people we're affiliated. You can tell by the fruits that we grow from the trees and seeds the trees that have grown from the seeds that we have planted, that what we are doing is an honest operation. I have people in chat saying, I'm excited for tomorrow. We're going to start at noon. Tomorrow is going to be a nostalgic day. I'm going to be working hard all day. We got people joining us from all over the broadcast. Ryder Lee will be joining us. Leo Zagami will be joining us. Joe Wages from the Masonic Lodges will be joining us. Woo! I'll push back a little, but he's, an interesting guy. 7 hours of it will be carried on Ground Zero Plus. And I promise you're going to hear, and it's going to be more of an auditory show, because we're going to place a lot of video clips talking about the Illuminati. Some of my past interviews, Fritz Springmeier will be playing clips from. We'll be playing clips from Doc Marquis, who has passed. We'll be playing clips from all these individuals. Jim Mars, hopefully we can find some stuff. Freeman Fly, all the goods. Anthony Hilder, Jordan Maxwell. We mentioned them time and time. Bill Cooper, anything we can find on the Illuminati, we'll be playing a little bit. And if somebody says, do I have a P.O. box? Ryan, I do not have a P.O. box. I understand you are analog, and I'm sorry for that. But unfortunately, I do not have a P.O. box. I appreciate that. Find somebody, give somebody money that has a Venmo, give somebody money that has a Cash App, or give somebody money that can just go and, scan this QR code for you, screenshot it. That being said, guys, tomorrow on the Rundown Live, it is Illuminati Day, May 1st. We're going to break down the secret society cult. We're going to talk about the ancient origins of Nimrod, the founder of the craft of Freemasonry. Yes, Nimrod. At least that's what Albert Mackey calls him. And Nimrod was a mighty hunter before God, not in a good way. He was an adversary. And his mother, he incestually married and had intimate relationships with, so he could receive all the all-seeing, glowing eye, become illuminated. And that's what kings wear a crown, because a crown represents the sun, and it's a perversion of the Christian and Hebrew religion. You ever hear the song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine"? You know that one. This little light of mine. City on a hill. It's all about light and illuminism. The thing is Nimrod and Semiramis and Babylon perverted the original religion. At least that is the folklore behind it, and the foundation and the origin points to what we believe to be the Illuminati. But I'm thinking it goes all the way back to Atlantis. And, Scott Walter and Timothy Hogan. Maybe I could ask Timothy, see if he's got some free time to talk about it a little bit, because, he's a little bit weird and out there. And I don't bring on people I agree with a lot of times. It's people I want to hear the whole story about. That being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to today's broadcast on the Rundown Live. If you guys support me, drop some comments in the chat. Just so you know, this is a it looks like this is like a pre-look. Hey, we've raised already $225. I want to shout out to Ground Zero Plus, Lisa, and Anonymous giver, which, by the way, I know who Anonymous is. So we are over 10% of our gold already, and it hasn't even started yet. So tomorrow, Ground Zero Plus. For those that are listening in after Clyde Lewis, I appreciate you guys. The rundownlive.com will have the link if you want to donate as well. We'll put it big on the website. Find us on social media. It will be there. I'll be in all the descriptions of all the social media that is out there, the Rumble, the YouTube, the Facebook. Find us there. And hopefully for 12 hours straight, we will be broadcasting and bringing you news and information and guests you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you guys on Kriston T. Harrison. Share the live links, share the donation links, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again. Have a good one.